Yo, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the XQ Regardless podcast. I'm guessing this isn't your first time listening in, but if it is, let me introduce myself. My name is Callum Roach. I'm the founder of Winners Win. I'm the host of this podcast, okay? But I'm guessing this isn't your first time listening in. So if you're new here, I have my double espresso. If you're not a coffee drinker, you may be in the wrong place. You know, we all like to, when we're listening to the XQ Regardless podcast, we have coffee. Okay, so you see me having multiple pauses throughout this. Just know, just know that when I go silent, I'm taking a sip of my espresso, and you should do the same. So pull over, get a coffee. Let's enjoy this one, and it's actually quite relevant to the conversation because I would much rather have coffee than have a beer, have a fucking vodka or whatever. And that's what I want to talk about. Today I want to talk about the real price of a hangover. The real price of partying. That's what I want to talk about. What is the real price that you pay for partying? And trust me, I know this more than anyone. I spent from the ages of 16 to 23 partying every fucking weekend, right? Like religiously, right? Be drinking every weekend. And I paid a steep price for that. I paid growth in terms of my business. I paid a price financially. And I paid a price with my mental health. That's what I want to talk about. And since then, I've been able to build a business. I've been able to get in phenomenal shape. That's not to brag. It's just a fact. Because I want to show you what's possible. If I can do this, if I can go from being overweight, having no money, being at the lowest of the low, working a job that I hate, to where I am now, okay? I've been homeless twice. You can do it too. So I don't know if you're a partier. I don't know if you are. I'm just, this is one of the fucking problems that I dealt with. So that's what I want to talk about specifically today. Let's do a little coffee taste real quick. That one's actually good. This one is, I don't know, I'll have to recap. It's some sort of an espresso one. It's quite good though. Let me know. Send me a photo, actually. That would be interesting. Send me a photo of you listening to this with your coffee if you're listening in. But yeah, let's get into it. A lot of you guys do not know what life was like for me. Sorry, I want to say this right. A lot of you guys don't know what life was like for me before you seen me online. And I used to be fucking quite crazy, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. Before you guys knew me, like if I was to tell you some of the fucking stories about how I used to be, what went on, maybe I'll get into one or two of them today. It'd be pretty fucked up. But up until about the age of 23, I used to go out every weekend, Friday to Sunday. You know, typical. I'd be fucking pre-drinking in my buddies' houses. You know, we'd go out Friday night, wake up in bed Saturday morning, go get a breakfast roll. If you live in Ireland, you know what I'm talking about. But you basically get these rolls, like a baguette, sausages, bacon, you know, and then you go again the next day and you do that you do that Friday through Sunday. And around this time, it's funny because it's so contradicting. Like, you know, no wonder why I never made progress. But so this was my lifestyle. Working all week. I was part-time in college. Actually, I was working from the age of, 16. I actually made my first dollar online when I was 12, funnily enough, but it wasn't a full-time job. But that I was selling YouTube backgrounds to YouTubers. What I would do is I would design them in Photoshop. But anyways, what I'm saying here is I was started my first proper job when I was 16, and from about that age when I first started getting money. And if you live in Ireland, like most people probably start drinking at the age of 16. And that's when I did. And every weekend continued like that from 16 to 23. And throughout this time, my goal was, funnily enough, this was my behavior, but my goal was to have control over my life, to have power. You know, you hear me talk about this a lot. Power is the ability to act, control, or influence. I wanted to have power over my life. I wanted to live on my terms. I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to have a business. I wanted to make money. I didn't want anyone telling me what to do. I wanted to be in really good shape. And, one day I wanted to build something big for my family. That was the goal. The problem was I was overweight. I was not in good shape. My mental health was really low. I had no money. I was wasting it all on clothes for the weekend. I was wasting it all on beer. I was wasting it all on takeaway food. Wasting all my money on anything but improving my life. And there's only so long that you can do this. By the way, I'm just having more coffee. There's only so long you can do this. And for me, the hardest thing about it was, I think going out every weekend and spending my money on this was distracting me from it was, I want to make sure I nail this right. Going out every weekend and getting drunk and partying was almost just me trying to cover up the fact that I wasn't addressing the real problem and I wasn't willing to do the work. It was almost like I would distract myself with the drink rather than doing what I knew was important. And I done that for about 6 years. And, there's only so much of that you can do before you have to face reality. And it started getting really bad for me in terms of the states I would end up in. Quite dangerous, to be honest. I don't think I've ever told you guys any of this. But, I don't know whether I should say it or not. Okay, I'll pick one. So there's a few times when I'd be out drinking and I would wander off. I'd be so drunk that on multiple occasions. It happened when I was in Paris. It happened here in my local town. It happened in Dublin City. I would just wander off when I was drinking. And what I would do is I'd be so hammered that people would find me like asleep in the weirdest places. But it got to the point where it was really fucking dangerous. I'll give you an example. One time in my local town, there was a new nightclub open and I was for going out. I said, I'm going to get fucking hammered, usual shit. And then the following week, I go out to the same club, right? And I meet this guy from school. His name's David. And David comes over to me, and I haven't seen him since I was a kid. And he says, Callum, what's going on? How's your head after last weekend? And I said, David, what are you talking about? I said, I haven't seen you since school. That was like 4 years ago or something. And he said, Callum, you're joking with me. I said, David, what the fuck are you talking about? I said, I haven't seen you since school, bro. He said, Callum, do you not remember what happened last week? And I'm like, David, what the fuck are you talking about? And he said, Callum, I found you last week around the back of the pub, right? There's this pub called Foy's. He said, I found you last week around the back of the pub, asleep on a pile of broken glass with your trousers around your ankles. He said, I found you, passed out, picked you up, put you in a taxi. I brought you to your bed and I had to he said, like, basically I had to put you to bed. And I was like, bro, I have no recollection of that. This happened multiple times, by the way. It happened in Dublin City Centre. Chloe came down to get me. They couldn't find me for hours. They found me asleep on against one of those little bike racks, where people lock their bike up. Same in Paris. I ran the Paris Marathon. Lost our group, the running club that we went with. They found me again, asleep at the side of a pub, trousers around my ankles. And this is when it dawned on me that I couldn't afford to live like this anymore. That it was dangerous. It was dangerous for me. Like, I'm starting to realize, like, Callum, you're going out. You're fucking not coming home. God knows what happened. You could be robbed. You could be killed. You could be fucking raped. Right? This is the first thing. When I'm looking at myself in the mirror now, I don't even look the fucking same as I used to when I was younger. I've no money. I'm broke as fuck. I'm spending my money on bullshit clothes to go out every weekend. and I'm not actually making deposits in my future. I'm sitting there one day and I'm like, I cannot live like this any longer. And that was when I realized that the price is always paid. The price is always paid, all right? One second, I hope you're having your coffee, by the way. That's good, right? And that was when it hit me, that the price is always paid. And the decisions we make today, the decisions we make today, the investments that we make today, what you choose to do this weekend, you have two options. You can either pretend that that price that you're going to pay this weekend for partying is not going to come around and bite you in the ass, but it will. Or you can make deposits in your future self, right? And the way you need to look at this is, and what dawned on me was, think of partying like a credit card, right? Think of life and partying like a credit card. You can go out and you can swipe the credit card. And while it may seem like fun this weekend, and while it may seem like fun right now, you're having a good time, remember, the price is always paid, all right? But the thing about this is the price is always paid with interest. And for me, what I paid was losing myself, not recognizing myself, business growth, personal growth, opportunity, time, money, things that I'll never get back, right? Partying, you can go out and fucking swipe the credit card all day long, all night long, whatever you want. But you will have to pay the interest, and that interest is time, energy, opportunity, growth, and that's what I fucking paid. And you guys know my story by now. You know, I eventually hit a low point, and I had to make a decision, and it wasn't until I really got clear on my why, you know, what I really wanted and how the actions with my identity then were never going to get me to point P. And ultimately I made change, and I realized that it would be better for me to make deposits in my future rather than swiping this credit card and having the fun immediately, having the fun in the present moment. I needed to start thinking long term, and that's what I did. Rather than swiping the credit card, you know, and spending it all on fucking drink, partying, clothes, all this bullshit, and then having to pay the price of opportunity, growth. I started making investments in myself. I started making investments in my health, in my education. You guys know by now I spent €80,000 on self-education, and I laugh about that, and sometimes I go on about it, but think about it. You know, even like that was not wasted. That is what has enabled me to get to where I am. That was when I started changing, and I made those investments. And yes, while, you know, some of the shit that I bought was bullshit in terms of the education, you know, I have to take a lot of self-responsibility. In fact, one could argue, in fact, I would argue that I was the variable, because I am the variable. Maybe if I was in a position to win, maybe if I was mentally and physically dialed in, I would have, if, you know, it's just physics, by the way, you know, input, output. If I had done what I was told to do, rather than blaming others, maybe I would have got the results sooner. I reckon I would have, you know, because I assume and take ownership for everything in my life right now. And that's what I started doing. So I started making more investments in my health, in my education, and even in terms of my relationship. I was more present. Sorry, one sec, just grabbing coffee. Got my iPad as well with me, by the way, because I'm trying to keep, by the way, if you're listening in, you'll probably notice these podcasts are a lot shorter now. I'm trying to keep them more value packed. I heard Alex Ramosi talk about value per second rather than seconds of value. So I want to be more respectful of your time and my time. So if you ever see me with my iPad, it's just making sure that we stick to the plan. But anyways, when I decided to knock partying on its head and make those investments, everything started to change. Now, if we look at what's going on in my life right now, I went on to build, after 5 failed businesses, by the way, you know, think about this, it's kind of funny. I had 5 failed businesses, but at the same time, this was the lifestyle I was living. Okay, so not causation, but definitely a big correlation. And then once I changed this, once I stopped going out partying, once I started making deposits in my future, everything started happening much faster. I started seeing more progress. And if we're to look at what that is, I went on to build outsource CMO, marketing consultancy, right? Made my first 100,000 online. Again, I'm not claiming to be a fucking millionaire, but for me, the way I grew up, man, I'd never seen anything like 100 grand, right? So to me at the time, that was like insane money. My initial goal when I first started out in entrepreneurship was to make 50 grand a year, right? So went on to build outsource CMO, and we consulted with over 120 SMEs, right? 120 fucking business owners. That's cool as fuck. Ended up getting to go right for Forbes. So much more, speaking on stages, blah, 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 all the business stuff in terms of the health, right? Over the last 3 years, obviously it was a bit of a journey, but I just walk around shredded as fuck. And this is not to brag. This is from knocking this on the head and making deposits, making investments in my future self that are paying dividends now, by the way. My relationship, I'm with Chloe coming up on 11 years. I can tell you now, in the last 3-4 years, year on year, it is better than year one. My relationship right now is better than year one. And everything that's going on in my life right now would not be possible if I had kept swiping the fucking credit card. I'm telling you, everything that's happening in my life right now everything happening in my life right now would not be happening if I kept swiping, right? The interest would have caught up with me, right? I would have wasted more time. I'd still have no money. I'd be in terrible shape. My health would be deteriorated and so much more. And that scares the fuck out of me. And what you need to realize is that the price is always paid. The price is always paid. You cannot avoid paying the price, right? The tax man is always fucking coming. But the thing is, the choices you make, he's either coming and he's collecting that with interest, or you can fucking make investments in your future self and you can actually fucking get dividends. You can reap dividends off this, right? But you just got to be willing to pay the price now so you can pay any price later on. Does that make sense? Sorry. Silence is coffee. That was good. That was nice. So, remember that. Think of partying like a credit card. You can swipe it now. You think you're having fun. And look, you may be having fun. But you will pay. And you'll pay it with interest. It will cost you growth, time, which is something you can't get back. Money you can get back, but time you're not getting back. Health, okay? Very hard to reclaim, especially as you get older, right? So choose wisely. Do you want to pay that price with interest, or do you want to make deposits in your future self, right? So remember, the price always gets paid, and you can do that today. Going into this weekend, it's Friday now, so whether it's the morning, the night time, whatever the fuck, you have a decision. You can use this weekend to assert power over your life, assert control, or you can continue fucking swiping. Right, and if you continue fucking swiping, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast. And I'm telling you, I'm living proof. You just look back. I don't know if I have them archived on my Instagram. But if you want fucking footage, or you want to see like where I was in the depths of it, I'll send you fucking photos. DM me, say, hey, show me what that looked like. Show me some of the fucked up shit from when you were back then. I'll send it to you. I'll send you some crazy shit. If I was to tell you some of the stories, some of the shit that happened in my life, you wouldn't believe it, right? Like, honestly, my life was a lot different. So if I can go on to build a business, to get my health in order, to change my financial situation, to improve my relationship, and just improve my life overall, I'm fucking telling you, man, I know you can do it too. I know you can do it, right? Believe me. Now, one last thing I want to say. Name of this podcast is Execute Regardless. That's the difference between winning and losing. Your ability to execute regardless of circumstances. As you go into this weekend, as you go into next week, when you're faced with hardship, when you're faced with confronting the big domino, the big task that you know it is that you have to do, right? And you're shying away from it. Someone asks you to go do something. Someone asks you to fucking, do you want to come here? Do you want to go for a drink? Do you want to do this? That is when I need you, and your future self needs you, right? Because they're depending on you, right? Your future self is depending on you to say, no, I must execute regardless, because that is the difference between winning and losing. So as you head into the weekend, as you head into next week, execute regardless of circumstances. And when you have to do the thing that you know you have to do, but you don't feel like doing it, that's when I want you to remember that. Execute regardless, okay? And there's been a lot of emails. There's been a lot of you guys reaching out about Discover 100. And that is coming at the end of this month, right? So even though, you haven't heard anything back yet, I'm telling you, hold the line. Keep an eye on your email. It'll be towards the end of October. There's some fucking big stuff coming. I mean, big stuff, right? Our best product we're giving away for free. And if you haven't got on the list for that, right? What we're doing is we're taking 100 people to 100% in 100 days, right? The world has never seen anything like this before, okay? This is all rooted in physics. It's exactly what I done to change my life, right? It took me 6.5 weeks. This is 14 weeks we're doing it for, but it took me 6.5 weeks really to make substantial change in real time. And then the other 6 weeks is just a fucking bonus. But if you want to be a part of that and you want to work with me hands-on and save yourself fucking, I don't know how many years of research it'll take you. It took me 2.5 years of research, a lot of trial and error, a lot of pain, a lot of sacrifice. If you want to save yourself all of that, okay, email Callum at Execute Regardless and just say Discover 100, I'm in. Touch base with me on social media, text me on Instagram, and also fucking post this shit on your Instagram. Put up a photo of your coffee, right? Put up a photo of your coffee. Tag me in it. I'd appreciate the fuck out of it. Hit the fucking 5-star button on this shit. Let's get this message out to more people, and let's keep moving forward. So I appreciate you. If you've already dropped your email, don't worry about it. Don't worry, I got it. I appreciate you. I can't wait to get going on this. And until then, it is what it is. Execute regardless. I appreciate you.